Take a seat back, get some popcorn, and enjoy this tale that reveals the truth and tells the tale of how a woman who had been missing for 20 years was located. The whole town knew about the Crenshaw family's sprawling property at the edge of the woods. Overgrown fields, a dilapidated farmhouse, and a family history tangled in whispers and tragedy. But what made the place infamous was the story of Evelyn Crenshaw, a young woman who had gone missing 20 years ago. People said she ran away. Others believed something darker had happened. It wasn't until years later, when a developer purchased the land, that anything concrete came to light. My father worked for that developer, part of the crew hired to clear the fields. I was 17 at the time, tagging along to help out. That day, we were tasked with demolishing the old barn. The place had a suffocating atmosphere. Sunlight barely penetrated the gaps in the rotting boards, and the smell of mildew clung to everything. My father told me to check the far corner for any salvageable tools. As I dug through piles of rusted metal and debris, I heard something strange, a soft, hollow echo beneath my feet. "Dad, come here," I called. He knelt down, tapping the floorboards with a crowbar. The sound was unmistakable. There was a space beneath the barn. Intrigued, we pried up the warped boards, revealing a narrow staircase leading down into the dark. "You stay here," my father said, his tone sharp. But I wasn't about to miss whatever was down there. Grabbing a flashlight, I followed him down the creaking steps. The air was cold and damp, and the beam of light revealed a small, dirt-walled cellar. At first, it looked empty, but then my father's flashlight stopped on something in the far corner. A wooden box, roughly the size of a coffin. We exchanged a look. "Help me," he said, and we dragged the box into the center of the room. It was heavy, the wood stained and splintered with age. With a loud crack, my father pried the lid open. Inside were bones. Human bones. My stomach twisted, and I stumbled back, but my father stayed, staring in horrified silence. A faded dress clung to the skeletal frame, the fabric barely holding together. And then we saw it. A set of deep scratches on the inside of the wooden lid. "She was alive when they put her in there," my father whispered. I couldn't speak. My heart pounded as I imagined it, the terror she must have felt, clawing at the wood, gasping for air in the pitch black. My father stood abruptly. "We need to call the sheriff." But as we turned to leave, a sound stopped us cold. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. Scratching. It was coming from the box. "No," I muttered. "No, it's not possible." My father stared at the coffin, his face pale. Slowly, as if in a trance, he knelt and leaned closer. The scratching grew louder. Then, with a deafening crack, the lid slammed shut on its own. We ran. Neither of us spoke a word until we were back in the truck, speeding away from that cursed property. My father called the sheriff later that day, but when they arrived, the cellar was empty. No coffin, no bones, nothing. To this day, I can't explain what happened in that barn. All I know is that Evelyn Crenshaw never left her family's land. And whatever keeps her there is something far worse than death.